Hi, it's Hans at happierman.com. Today's topic is recovering from verbal abuse. It's been a bit since I've talked about verbal abuse, but I've gotten a lot of comments on my YouTube channel, and I thought I'd add a video to the mix. I left my wife many years ago. This is the year 2025. I left her in the year 2007. It took a little over 2 years to finalize the divorce, and then there was other difficulties even after that I was still kind of entangled with her, and she was just very difficult. So the main recovering I've done is in the last 10 years. And some of the tips, and I wanted to share some of the ideas, some of the things I did, some of the things that seemed to help, some of the things that didn't. I wanted to get into that a little bit. So the first thing you're going to have to do to start to recover is to leave her, because you won't be able to just go about your merry way and live a good life while you're with a verbally abusive wife or a full-time person with you. There's no escaping, right? You escape to work each day. Hopefully, you may escape because she leaves, but it's constant, and you never know when the next episode will happen. So certainly when I was with my verbally abusive wife, I was trying to have a good life. I was trying to focus on positive things, and she wasn't like verbally abusive morning, noon, and night, 24/7. There would be episodes, and this is what you'll find is sometimes she'd be very sweet and kind and nice, and everything would be fine until the next episode. But the leaving, that's first. The second is to stay left. When you leave, you're going to be so shell-shocked. You're just going to be a sliver of the man that you were, and that the man that you can become. You're not going to be with it, powerful, strong, with your life together. You're going to be shell-shocked, traumatized, weak. I'm sorry, you've been beaten down. You went from a strong man to a weak man, and that's what was me. I would not consider myself in the years before my marriage a really strong man. That has come later in life, after I left my verbally abusive wife and living the life I live now. Before, I was working toward that. Got married, everything was kind of fine for a while, then it went downhill with that verbal abuse, and I went backward in my adult and manliness and masculinity and everything. So it's going to be tough to stay left, right? She'll probably put enormous pressure on you to come back. Your family might put pressure on you to come back. Her family, there might be massive reasons to come back, right? Financial, the children, the life you've built together. Perhaps you leave for a little while and she sweetens up dramatically and you think she's changed. Well, that would be pretty rare that type of thing would happen. So to stay left. And then let's say when you've left, you obviously are going to have to start doing everything differently. You're living in a different place. Your free time will be spent differently. You're going to have to keep working to support yourself. At first, you're going to have quite a time sink involved in the divorce proceedings themselves. Paperwork, meeting with your attorney, going to court, doing all kinds of irritating, time-consuming, expensive things to try to get yourself out of this mess you're in. So don't expect your life to be great immediately. It may be even worse, because now, let's say you had children at home, now you're probably rarely seeing them, and so the joy of your children being happy and chattering and being around you, you don't have that much. Now, hopefully you can stay in their lives. I did my best to stay in my kids' lives, but certainly in the short run, yeah, I didn't see them. And that was kind of, that's going to be a sad part. Then there's going to be enormous turmoil in your finances. If you're very wealthy, leaving should be very easy. If you're at the point in your life where if you take 75 to 80 to 90% of what you have and you still have a lot, well then, leave, right? You have no problems. But most men, you're going to take an enormous financial beating that may take you decades to get out of. It is taking me decades to get out of that financial mess. It's just that the verbal abuse made living so miserable that the last thing I worried about was finances, right? I didn't worry about a affluent retirement when I wanted to die, right? That's going to be your feeling. So what I'm getting at is your finances are going to be in massive turmoil. The other thing, finding a place to live and then spending your free time, I wouldn't try to make too many massive changes in your life, right? You may have dreams of what other things you'd like to do. That will come, but slow down. It's going to take a long time to work out the divorce. It's going to take time to work out the logistics of the children, and it takes some time for your finances to recover, and your dreams of becoming a free man again. Slow down. Be happy in being away from the verbal abuse. That's where the healing will happen. When you're not around it, you're not hardly hearing it. Now you're probably going to have to interact with her, and she will probably lay some verbal abuse on you when you interact, or some other tactic yet to be determined, right? The ladies or anyone who treats people this badly will not just be nice, right? In my case, my wife thought she owned me, so everything, from her perspective, if she can just call me, 50 times a day, I'll pick up one of those times and she'll give me an earful of why I have to come back. So that leads me to another thing. Don't answer the phone. Don't respond to her texts. In my case, what was happening is she would call, and I'm worried about, well, something must be wrong with the kid. She's calling all the time. I've got to help with the kids. But it was rarely that. Every 100th call might have been something to do to help the kids with the homework, or to pick them up across town or something like that. Mostly it was just to call, to complain and nag and scream at me to come back. So don't answer the phone. And in my case, in 2007 and 8 and 9, that was kind of before the texting. So I can imagine nowadays the ladies would be sending you enormous text chains. Now, if she leaves voicemail messages and long drama-filled text, yes, save those. They may be helpful in the divorce to kind of show people, your attorney, the judges, what kind of person you're dealing with here. So, save that. That may become necessary. Don't just automatically delete those, even though it's pretty unpleasant, what ladies can say. And then just minute by minute, day by day, hour by hour, treat yourself well. Remind yourself that you have to do this. You had the lever. You have to start recreating your life in a better way. You have to start to try to become the man you want to be. And you can start doing simple things on the way to your new dream life. There's simple things that are inexpensive and maybe they don't take that much money or that much time that you can start to do to start to treat yourself well. Maybe you want to go out for expensive steak dinners. Well, you're not going to be able to afford that, but you can go out for simple meals, cheap meals, with the idea of eventually I'm going to treat myself to expensive meals. You maybe like to go out in the town and party, but you can't really afford the bottle service and you can't afford to buy a lot of people drinks and you can't even afford to buy yourself that many drinks. Well, you can still go out a little bit and buy one drink and nurse it, right? You can do simple things. You may want to go and buy yourself a sports car or a new truck or an SUV or a boat or a camper or something like that. Well, financially, that's probably not going to happen, but you could go and look at those things. I looked at cars, I looked at trucks, I looked at RVs, I looked at boats, just for fun, to dream, knowing that someday I will have more of what I want, but I just want to enjoy it now. With peaceful, right? I would go out in the evenings, simple, right? Chat with people, try to talk to other ladies, do that kind of thing, have a drink, not go overboard. I couldn't afford it. I didn't want to go overboard like I was a young man again, but just the fun of being alive again and doing things. And let's say, being somewhere where things are a little more chill, relaxed, nice, happy, that type of thing. You can find inexpensive things to do, free, whatever is free, go and do, or modest amounts. You don't have to fly to a exotic resort on the long weekends. Maybe there's things you can do in your home area that cost very little. Think economy. And see, what you're doing is you're treating yourself well. You're building your foundation. So day by day, you're building your self-confidence back up, so that when the time is right, all these dreams you're having for your life start to click into place. Like, for me, it took many, many years for things to start to click into place. Like, I didn't leave my wife and go out and buy my dream truck in a month. It took, I left her in 2007. I bought the truck in 2013, right? That took 6 years to get my dream truck. And then I've replaced that truck eventually with the vehicle I have now. But the point is, I knew I wanted that truck, and then I started shopping and looking and enjoying getting brochures and researching and figuring out which one I want and all of that kind of thing. I spent time, I thought I might want to buy a recreational vehicle. I spent time looking at those, going to those shows where there's a bunch of them all in one place, and browsing around and collecting brochures. And ultimately that dream faded, and I found out I didn't want to do it, but it was fun at the time to dream about it. It only cost a few dollars to go into to see these shows, and you can get a drink or a soda or a beer, or you might have sandwiches, and it's you make it an event. what I'm getting at is you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a nice time. And what the nice time is what you want to start to heal. That life is supposed to be good. You're supposed to have a good time most of the time. It isn't supposed to be a grind. You're not supposed to just keep your head down and absorb verbal abuse from your wife. Okay? You're supposed to have a great life in this time. All right? You have to find ways to heal, to dream. I talk a lot about my journaling and journal books and, taking notes of what you like, making notes of what you don't like. Start to find out what your preferences. You probably had preferences before you got married. You might start with those and explore and experience little by little. Treat yourself well. You probably need to get a gym membership or have some sort of exercise program to start to treat yourself well. You may have let go all kinds of problems. For example, in my case, when I was married, I didn't have any money to go to the dentist myself. It was enough for my wife and the children to try to pay for their dental bills. So I never went, and that caused me all kinds of problems later. So then finally, that was one of the big things I did to treat myself well, is start taking care of my teeth, going to the dentist, doing what's necessary. And yeah, that cost thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands and thousands. But that was necessary, right? I neglected myself during my marriage. I rarely did anything I wanted to do in my marriage. I didn't have the kind of marriage that some men have, where the hobbies and the pastimes they like to do, they do when they're married. That wasn't the case. I had no hobbies, I had no pastimes, I had no time, I had no money, I had no energy to do anything but work and survive the situation was in. So I hope this kind of helps you. If you're in this verbally abusive relationship, get out and then start doing what's necessary. Keep your expectations low, but you will have a great life. I have had the best time of my life in the last 10 years, doing all kinds of things I've wanted to do. I've never been happier, but it would not have been possible to have this living the way I was with my verbally abusive wife. So give that idea some thought, all for now.